After work, I was followed by a man in a raincoat. I sent a message to ask my boyfriend, and he said he was at home. I confidently opened the door, but the man in the raincoat then barged in and killed me while I was resisting. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the moment when I got out of the elevator, and my boyfriend replied, "I'm at home." I couldn't believe him anymore. This time, I chose a different way to save myself, but I was still killed. When I opened my eyes again, I had just gotten into the elevator. So, every time I'm reborn, it's 10 minutes earlier. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. When I first noticed something strange about that man, the elevator had already reached the 17th floor. I had been playing with my phone since I got into the elevator. When there were only the two of us left in the elevator, I looked up inadvertently and found that only the number 21 on the buttons was lit. I couldn't help but take a closer look at him. That was the floor I was going to. It was a man in a raincoat. His whole face was covered by sunglasses and a mask, and he was carrying a long and thin bag in his hand. I felt inexplicably flustered. Although it had just rained a little outside, it wasn't necessary to wear a raincoat, was it? Besides, I had been living here for nearly a year, and I had no impression of him at all. I quickly sent a message to my boyfriend. "Liam, are you at home?" "I'm at home." He replied with 3 words. I sent him another message. "Come and pick me up at the door." At this time, the elevator stopped at the 21st floor, and I had arrived. Liam was at home, so I didn't need to worry at all. He was a former sports student, nearly 2 meters tall, with broad shoulders. He could probably kill a person with 1 punch. With him around, I walked home with confidence. When I got out of the elevator, I didn't see Liam at the door. But this guy is all brawn and no brains. Maybe when he heard "at the door," he thought it meant the inside of the house door. It was only a dozen steps away, so I couldn't help but quicken my pace. The man in the raincoat followed me out of the elevator closely. He quickened his pace when I did, which made me feel creepy. I rushed to the door in 3 steps and 2 steps. My finger pressed on the fingerprint lock, and the door opened. I quickly entered, but the man in the raincoat pushed in without hesitation. I was stunned. Liam wasn't there. I shouted into the room, "Liam, come out quickly." The man in the raincoat raised the bag and hit me on the head and body one after another. It turned out there was a hammer inside. I heard the sound of bones breaking one by one, and the pain was so intense that I couldn't breathe. I still wanted to fight for my life, so I crawled towards the bedroom with all my strength. In the end, I didn't manage to open the door and fell in a pool of blood, until I died. I didn't know if Liam was at home. When I opened my eyes, I had just stepped out of the elevator. I stopped in my tracks suddenly. The man in the raincoat who was following me closely couldn't stop in time and bumped into me. I stumbled a couple of steps and moved away from the elevator entrance. I turned around in horror. Even through the sunglasses, I could feel his cold gaze. Was I reborn? This thought flashed through my mind, and the memories of my previous life came flooding back. I instinctively rushed to the elevator entrance, wanting to go back in, but it was too late. The elevator closed in front of me. No matter how much I pressed the buttons, it didn't open and started to go down. I looked despairingly in the direction of my home. Liam wasn't at home, and going back meant death. Judging from the strength, I was no match for the man in the raincoat at all. I picked up my phone and sent Liam another message. "Are you really at home?" "I'm at home." Didn't you say you'd be back tomorrow?" Liam's reply seemed to reveal something. Suddenly, some doubts emerged in my mind, making me flustered. He changed the lock screen password of his phone. He had some unexplained expenses recently, and he worked overtime more often. "Answer me quickly. Are you at home or not?" I quickly typed these words, but before I could send them, the elevator suddenly came back. The moment the elevator door opened, I was about to rush in when my neck was grabbed from behind, and I was pulled out by the man in the raincoat. He hit me hard on the head, and my vision was filled with blood. Eventually, I couldn't escape his clutches. When I opened my eyes again, I was in the elevator, and the floor number shown was 7. In the elevator, besides me and the man in the raincoat, there was an old lady. She was carrying a bag of vegetables, hunched over, and she seemed to be in her 70s. The old lady was going to the 15th floor. The elevator ascended slowly. My mood was fluctuating, and my mind was working fast. Going home was a dead end. When there were only the two of us left, I had no chance of escape. I didn't have much time to make a choice. The elevator stopped at the 15th floor, and the old lady walked out slowly. I quietly watched the elevator door with my peripheral vision. When it was about to close, I suddenly rushed out. I quickly caught up with the old lady and followed her closely. She stopped alertly and asked me, "What do you want?" I was at a loss for words. I couldn't possibly say that I was reborn and someone was trying to kill me. In the eyes of a normal person, I was just a girl taking the elevator, and no one was endangering me. I didn't even have a reason to call the police. "Grandma, I have some health products here for free trial. Do you want to take a look?" I had a sudden inspiration and found an excuse. "You people are all scammers. You cheated me out of more than $70,000. Give it back to me. Give it back to me." The old lady swung her arm and slapped at me. I covered my head and stepped back repeatedly. I accidentally tripped and fell to the ground. When I got up, the old lady had opened the door of her house. When I rushed forward, the big iron door closed tightly in front of me. I looked around the empty corridor helplessly. The man in the raincoat didn't get off the elevator with me, and I didn't dare to get back on the elevator. I decided to take the safety stairs. I crept up the stairs. The stairs were empty and quiet. You could hear a pin drop. My breathing was like a bellows, and I couldn't cover it up. When I reached the 7th floor, my head was covered with cold sweat. I was almost out. I encouraged myself, but at this moment, suddenly, there was the sound of a door opening above. Someone had entered the safety stairs, and then there was a flurry of footsteps. Although I didn't see anyone, I had a premonition that it was the man in the raincoat. I looked up at the stairs above, and just then, I saw a head sticking out from the corner of the stairs. It was him. I ran towards the downstairs, and he chased closely behind me. He was getting closer and closer. The 3rd floor, the 2nd floor, the 1st floor. I died the moment I opened the door. When I opened my eyes this time, I was standing in the underground garage. In front of me was the elevator, and behind me was the dark garage. Taking the elevator was out of the question. Should I go back to drive and leave? Suddenly, a thought flashed through my mind. Had he been following me all the way? That meant it was still a long way from here to my car, and I was likely to be attacked. I turned around and ran towards the darkest corner. I spotted a Land Rover and crouched down behind it. My heart was still pounding wildly, and I tried my best to hold my breath. This time, I didn't see the man in the raincoat when I was reborn, and the sense of oppression was much lighter. My mind started to work, analyzing the situation. This was the 4th time. The time points of my rebirth were different each time. If I were to find a pattern, it should be 10 minutes earlier each time. The first 3 times were too tense. This time, I had time to review. First of all, I had to figure out where Liam was. Having him come to pick me up was the best plan. I muted my phone and then sent him a message. "Are you at home?" "I'm at home. I'm almost home. Come to the garage and pick me up." "Didn't you say you'd be back tomorrow?" "So, are you really at home or not?" At this moment, suddenly, there were footsteps. In the empty garage, the footsteps echoed, hitting my heart one by one. I knew he was coming. He was looking for me. I quickly pricked up my ears to listen. He walked past the front of the Land Rover without a pause. I secretly let out a sigh of relief and prayed that he would leave soon. Just then, suddenly, my phone screen lit up, and a video call request popped up. It was from Liam. Although it was just a faint light, the underground garage was so dark that this little light was enough for him to find me. His footsteps stopped. When I was closing my phone in a huff, I met the eyes of the man in the raincoat. The hammer came down, and I died again. When I opened my eyes this time, my car was stopped in front of a green light, motionless. The driver behind me was honking the horn desperately, urging me to drive. I used all my remaining strength, regardless of the traffic rules, and turned right to stop by the roadside. I slumped over the steering wheel, gasping for breath. I had left that damned building. My whole body was shaking violently, and I couldn't drive anymore. It was daytime, with heavy traffic and people coming and going. This was a commercial area, and there was a comprehensive building nearby. I was safe. I kept telling myself this to comfort myself. After calming down a bit, I took out my phone and asked Liam again, "Are you at home?" This time, he didn't reply for a long time. The waiting made me impatient. I looked around, and in an instant, my hair stood on end. I saw the man in the raincoat. He was driving a yellow car and slowly approaching me. He was coming for me. He wasn't killing randomly. He was determined to kill me. Thinking of this, I didn't dare to be slow. I opened the car door and quickly ran towards the comprehensive building. There was a light rain in the sky. Pedestrians were in a hurry. Some were holding umbrellas, and some were covering their heads with clothes. My hair was a bit wet when I rushed into the building. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw that the man in the raincoat had also entered and was chasing me quickly. I was familiar with the terrain here and was confident that I could shake him off. When getting on the escalator, I rushed up a few steps and reached the second floor. On the second floor, there were fashion stores on both sides of the escalator. There were many mannequins and pillars arranged in an orderly manner. I made a few turns and disappeared from the man in the raincoat's sight. There happened to be a fitting room nearby, and I ducked into it. When I closed the door, the shopping guide lady saw me. She looked shocked. She recognized me and met my eyes. I put my index finger to my lips, making a shushing gesture. At this time, the man in the raincoat appeared. He was obviously a bit flustered, looking around to find me. After searching around without success, he didn't rush to go upstairs. Instead, he took off his sunglasses. I looked out through the crack of the door and could just see his eyes. Suddenly, I felt they looked familiar. He stayed for 2 minutes, then put on his sunglasses again. It seemed he had made up his mind and was about to go to the third floor. Just as he passed by the shopping guide lady, they bumped into each other slightly. The movement was so fast that I couldn't tell if it was an accidental collision or if the shopping guide lady did it on purpose. But when their eyes met, the shopping guide lady gave a glance in my direction and her finger slightly pointed towards the fitting room. The man in the raincoat suddenly understood and walked towards me in big steps. It was too late to run now. I pushed against the door from the inside, trying to call the police, but it was too late. He kicked the door open with one foot. My head hit the wall, and I let out a scream of pain. My phone slipped out of my hand and fell to the ground. The screen lit up, and Liam's reply popped up. "I'm at home." Unfortunately, I didn't have a chance anymore. I died. This ending was beyond the shopping guide lady's expectation. Her scream echoed in the mall. When I opened my eyes this time, I was still in the car. There was no time for me to be sentimental. I almost immediately got into the state and stepped on the gas, driving the car onto a small road. There was a yellow car behind, which soon caught up. It was the man in the raincoat. His yellow car was too eye-catching. I was very familiar with this section of the road. It was normal for me to run this route more than 10 times a day for business. So, when he chased me into an alley and then into a courtyard, he was shocked to find that the whole courtyard was full of policemen. I had driven the car into the nearest police station. I got out of the car, slammed the door hard, and showed my defiance to the man in the raincoat. "What are you doing here?" A policeman recognized me and asked expressionlessly. "Someone is trying to kill me." I turned around to point him out, but found that the man in the raincoat's car had already left. I suddenly felt a huge sense of relief. The tension in my nerves relaxed, and it felt like all my strength had been drained. I squatted down on the ground, hugging my knees and crying. They looked at me like I was a crazy person. "You can't keep wasting police resources. We have important things to do," the policeman said seriously. But he was really following me. "If you don't believe me, check the surveillance to see if he drove into the courtyard following me." I jumped up and said confidently, "Just because a car followed you into the courtyard means it's going to kill you. Is it that if someone looks at you, they're going to murder you?" People with a clear conscience don't fear ghosts knocking at the door. They all started talking at once, sneering at me. None of them was on my side. This was why I could only rely on Liam. Now I was a notorious liar. After being the victim of cyber manhunt for personal information exposure, the developed network made it impossible for me to hide. At this time, I was like a rat that everyone wanted to hit. Because of the restrictions on my execution, I had no money, no cards, and no place to live except Liam's home. I could only turn around silently and send Liam a message. "Come and pick me up. You asshole. Hurry up." I didn't dare to go out. The man in the raincoat must be waiting for me outside. Liam came quite quickly when he heard that I was at the police station. "What's wrong with you again?" he asked me helplessly. "Are you really at home? I'm asking you." Are you at home or not? I was on the verge of collapse and jumped up, trying to scratch his face. He easily subdued me. With one big hand, he grabbed both of my wrists and, under the sympathetic gazes of the policeman, carried me out. No one is trying to kill you. Don't be so paranoid. Killing someone isn't that easy. They're just scaring you. Liam didn't believe me, and I didn't dare to say that I had been reborn. So, human joys and sorrows are not interconnected. I was tormented by fear and pain, feeling completely insecure. While he thought I was crazy, he drove the car into the underground garage. Like a frightened little animal, I closely followed him, trembling with fear with every step. I also asked myself, was it really necessary to go back to this home? The answer was yes. I had a premonition that my relationship with Liam was coming to an end. This man in a raincoat was specifically targeting me, and Liam might not be able to protect me either. So, I decided to gather my things and run away. I still had some cash at Liam's place, probably a few $1,000s, which would be enough for me to escape to a strange place and hide for a while. I wanted to flee far away so that no one could find me. From the garage to the elevator and then into the house. It felt like I was walking through a long hell. The whole way was filled with blood and pain, and just a glance made me feel suffocated. Liam was a careless person and didn't notice anything unusual about me. As soon as he entered the house, he complained about the stuffy weather, saying it made him sweat all over. Then, despite my protests, he rushed into the bathroom to take a shower. The sound of water was gushing. This was the perfect time for me to pack my things. I found his money and stuffed a few clothes into my backpack. There was a sound at the door. It should be Liam who had finished showering. I was still thinking about how to persuade him to drive me out of the city. To my surprise, when I looked up, I saw a flash of yellow. How did the man in the raincoat get in? I was too careless. He cornered me in the bedroom. I jumped onto the bed, trying to escape to the other side, but it was too late. He swung the hammer down, and a sharp pain shot through my leg bone. I fell to the ground. Liam, who heard the noise and rushed over, only saw the scene of him attacking me. It was too late to stop him. He killed me right in front of Liam's eyes. When I opened my eyes again, Liam and I were in the elevator. Judging from the previous cycle, the man in the raincoat had already followed us. It would be unwise for me to leave Liam. Last time, all my efforts ended in vain. This time, I had to seize Liam as an ally and make full use of him. Liam grumbled and went into the bathroom. Soon, the sound of running water could be heard. I locked the door, pushed the coffee table over to block it, and then called the police. The voice of the operator lady was like the sound of nature. I felt a bit of relief instantly and quickly reported the address. After hearing my address, the lady's voice suddenly turned cold. I must remind you that making a false alarm is subject to legal liability. You can't squander public resources wantonly. Our limited police force should be used for those who truly need it. This time it's real. There's really someone trying to kill me, and he's coming soon. I was so anxious that I couldn't help shouting. Then call the police when he arrives. You've made 7 false alarms already. If you continue like this, we have the right to hold you accountable according to the law. The phone was hung up mercilessly. What are you doing again? Please stop calling the police. They just want to vent their anger. They don't have the ability to kill you, Liam said as he came out of the bathroom, still dripping wet. This time it's real. There's really someone trying to kill me, I said weakly, hoping he would believe me. Can you just be quiet for a while? If it weren't for you, they wouldn't be in such a miserable state, not even having the chance to sue. But I was also being used. I finally erupted. That's because you're stupid. You're stupid and you've hurt others. Do you think you're right? Liam seemed to be unusually clear-headed today. Just as I was about to curse, I suddenly noticed a movement on the balcony. Then, the kitchen connected to the balcony darkened, and a figure rushed in quickly. He actually climbed over the balcony. I grabbed Liam and pushed him forward. There's a thief. Quick. Liam loved to hear this kind of thing. He wouldn't miss any chance to legally beat someone. He saw the man in the raincoat head on. With the way the man in the raincoat was dressed, he looked like he was asking for a beating. Liam punched him right away, and then followed with a flurry of punches and kicks. The man in the raincoat fell to the ground in pain. Liam could win a fight just by muscle memory. The man in the raincoat was no match for him. I finally let out a long sigh of relief. Now I could call the police. As long as the charges were established, The crime of breaking into a house alone would be enough to send him to prison for a few years. The thief has been caught. Please come over, I said into the phone. Just as I turned around, Liam, cursing, took off the man in the raincoat's mask and glasses. He froze. I was still reporting the address to the operator when Liam came over and snatched my phone. Don't call the police. Let him go, Liam said. His expression didn't match his big build at all. He looked like a child who had done something wrong. He wants to kill me. You want to let him go? I couldn't help but scream. He's already miserable enough. Let him go. Liam's sympathy got the better of him. He pushed me towards the bedroom, trying to lock me in. What are you talking about? Do you know him? I was completely confused by Liam's actions. Let him go. Don't pursue this anymore. Liam became more and more impatient as I resisted. The man in the raincoat was severely beaten, his face covered in blood. He lay on the ground, motionless. But in the previous life, he still killed me in the end. I couldn't trust Liam. Suddenly, an idea flashed through my mind. If I ended him, wouldn't it solve all the problems? I wouldn't have to suffer in this endless cycle anymore. Dying over and over again was extremely painful for both my body and mind. I wanted to end it all with my own hands. I raised my leg and kicked Liam hard in the groin. He let out a loud scream of pain and hunched over. I picked up a chair nearby and smashed it with all my strength towards the man in the raincoat's head. But as soon as I raised my arm, I went limp and knelt down. A sharp pain shot through the back of my head. I turned around in disbelief and saw Liam's panicked face and the bloody barbell in his hand. In this life, Liam accidentally killed me. When I opened my eyes again, I felt a bit dazed. This time, something seemed to have gone wrong. Maybe because the person who killed me was different. The pattern was broken, and I was reborn a month ago. At this moment, I had just returned from a business trip and was standing at the entrance of the company. The small room inside was crowded with people. My mentor, Lily, who was also the general manager of the company, was speaking with enthusiasm. This was her last lesson in the company, and it was also the last time I saw her. You need to play the emotional card, the family affection card. Only in this way can you make your customers become your blood bags without any regrets. Her phone rang. She picked it up and said sweetly, "Dear Mom, I miss you so much. I was just about to call you. Lily, I listened to you and stopped taking my hypoglycemic medicine. Recently, I can't see clearly, and my legs are swollen. Why don't you come and see me? Dear stepmom, in your situation, you need to change the product. It's newly launched and still in the beta testing stage. You can't buy it on the market. I can get some for you. Of course, the price will be discounted. No. 3. How much does it cost? Not much. You have such a high pension. If you don't spend it on yourself, who are you saving it for? Enjoying it yourself is the real enjoyment. I'll come to see you tomorrow and bring you the product, by the way." Lily put the call on speakerphone to demonstrate to everyone present. In a blink of an eye, she finalized an order. The whole room burst into applause. Lily winked playfully and made a gesture of, "Got it. This is our role model. Everyone learn from her. The sales champion is really something. Lily is really amazing. I've learned a lot. Lily, teach us more tricks." Everyone started flattering her. Lily smiled modestly. Yes, this was my job. I was used to seeing them crazily worshipping Lily in this familiar scene. But this time, I felt a sense of unease, as if something was wrong. I joined the company half a year ago. The company mainly sold health products. Lily said I was smart and took me as her apprentice, teaching me hand in hand how to coax retired elderly people and empty their pension money from their pockets. It was ridiculous. Those elderly people who would queue up for half a day for an egg could spend thousands of dollars on a box of health products with an unknown formula. And they wouldn't bat an eye when spending tens of thousands on a spring bed. Lily had crescent-shaped eyes that would bend when she smiled. She always said to me with a smile, "Nancy, don't be soft-hearted. They're like leeks. If we don't harvest them, someone else will." But she didn't say that in the end. I would be the one to bear the risks and consequences. Lily suddenly saw me at the back of the crowd. Her face changed. She said a few words to the lecturer next to her and then walked over to me. "Didn't I send you on a business trip? Why are you back early? You go and change the contract with me right now. I'm not the executor. I'm just a little worker." I couldn't let her get away. I tightly grabbed her arm. Come with me, Lily said, leading me into her office. Although I finally closed this deal, you did a lot of groundwork before. I can't treat you unfairly. You can take the money, Lily said, smiling with her crescent-shaped eyes. What deal? I asked blankly. Granny Duke's deal. Silly girl. She's a ripe leek. If you don't harvest her, someone else will, Lily said meaningfully. I was the one handling it. What right do you have to make decisions for me? I jumped up. Don't be too unreasonable. You've been in the company for so long and haven't closed a single deal. If I were you, I'd be ashamed. I'm helping you, and this is your attitude. Lily started to target me when she saw that I wasn't as respectful as before. I don't care. You change the contract right now. I don't want to be the executive president or the vice president. Why should I take the blame for the bad things you've done? My words hit the nail on the head. Lily's face changed. Take your commission and get out. Don't say I didn't warn you. You can stay if you want, but you'll have to bear the consequences yourself. She threw an envelope at me and turned to leave. I wanted to catch up with her, but I was stopped by the company's security guards. I was carried out of the building by the security guards. In the previous life, I didn't know what happened later. She sent me on a business trip, and I obediently left. It was only when I found my personal information exposed on the internet, receiving countless harassing calls every day and being cursed and insulted by countless people, that I realized the seriousness of the situation. It was my first experience of cyber violence, and I was really scared. At first, I also wanted to seek help. I called the police, but it was of no use. The victims didn't have any substantial actions. Most of them were elderly people, in their 70s or 80s. There was nothing we could do about them, and what they said was true. Our company sold shoddy products to them, claiming they were miracle drugs that could cure all diseases, and defrauded countless elderly people. Among them, there were many from poor families, making their already difficult situation even worse. But I didn't even know when I signed the documents. How did this company become mine? I found myself in a sea of debt and became a fraudster. Since I was penniless, the only thing they could do was restrict my consumption. There was no way to get any money out of me. Liam was right. I was stupid, and I had hurt others. I deserved it. Because of my taking over, the victims had no way to file a complaint. In the previous life, I was ignorant and only knew how to ask for help repeatedly. In the end, it became like the cry wolf lie. When I really encountered a situation, no one believed me, saying that I was making false alarms. Just like in the previous cycles, when I drove into the police station, no one believed me. I just wanted to hide in the fitting room for a while. But I was betrayed because they all regarded me as an extremely evil person. I was the one who sucked the blood of the elderly, taking away their life, saving money without hesitation. What made them even angrier was that I hadn't been punished. I blew the wind by the river for a long time and finally sorted out the situation. I had remembered who the man in the raincoat was. Before being killed by Liam, I recognized his eyes. His mother was my first and only customer. She spent $110,000. I met her by coincidence, 3 months after I joined the company. I still had no performance and was really anxious. Because I joined the company late, my colleagues had already exhausted all the surrounding resources. So, I thought of the hospital. That's how I met Granny Duke, who was taking care of her granddaughter in the hospital. Dana was a thin and pale girl. She didn't have a mother, and her father was abroad. Granny Duke said that Dana's father could save some money every month and send it back, planning to use it for Dana's surgery. The old and the young had a lot of inconvenience in the hospital. I helped them a lot. Granny Duke said I was kind and a good girl, and the things I recommended couldn't be wrong. She asked me for a trial pack, saying she wanted to try it for Dana. When I had no performance, I was eager to promote the products. But now that prey came to me, I hesitated. Dana was different from those elderly people. She was really sick, and I didn't know if medicine was as miraculous as described in the instructions. Coincidentally, after Dana took a box of the trial pack, her condition improved. Later, I found out that it was because there were hormones in it, so it had a temporary effect and couldn't be used for a long time. Lily knew that I was following up on Granny Duke's deal and kept hinting to me to close the deal quickly, but I was always hesitant. Suddenly, Lily arranged for me to go on a business trip. A week later, I came back, which was the same day as in the previous life. I received a big gift from Lily. There was $11,000 in the envelope. Then she sent me on a business trip again. After that, they all disappeared, moving to another city to commit fraud, leaving me to bear the consequences. This time, I decided not to leave. I wanted to stay and deal with my own mess. I first went to the hospital to see Dana, but found that the bed was empty. The nurse looked at me strangely. Her eyes were red, as if she had just been crying. "How dare you come? You're the murderer. If you step into our department again, I'll call the police." "Where's Granny Duke?" I asked timidly, feeling guilty. "Your medicine was boasted to be so amazing." She took Dana home, stopped the treatment, and started taking that so-called miracle drug. As a result, Dana had an acute attack and didn't make it. The nurse bumped into me hard. I was extremely flustered. I never thought it was still too late. "Do you know where Granny Duke went?" I suddenly remembered that in the previous life, Granny Duke couldn't face her son and committed suicide by jumping off a building. But these were just rumors I heard. I didn't know the exact time. I hoped it was still in time, but it was still too late. A dull thud came from outside the window. Someone screamed, and many people rushed towards the window. The man in the raincoat was still abroad and hadn't rushed back. I, in the capacity of a family member, gave Granny Duke and Dana their final dignity. Liam had been by my side all the time. This big guy actually had a tender side. He cried his eyes red for Dana and Granny Duke. "I've implicated you. You can leave." I wanted to give Liam his freedom. During those cycles, in order to survive, I clung to Liam like a life-saving straw, not hesitating to drag him down with me. Now my mindset was different. I felt that I deserved what I got and didn't even have the heart to resist. The cause of Granny Duke's death was exposed by the nurse. Medicine company and I were both on the hot search. Being cursed, countless victims started to retaliate against me. To my surprise, in the previous life, when I tried desperately to shirk responsibility, make excuses, and escape, Liam loathed my behavior. He cursed at me and drove me away. But this time, when I faced it bravely, he actually stood by my side. Liam told me to stay at his home honestly and he would do his best to protect me. I, on the other hand, searched high and low, trying to find Lily and her gang. The blame should be placed on the right person. I couldn't let them harm another group of leaks. Liam took sufficient measures to ensure my safety. He reinforced the doors and windows. As long as I didn't go out, the man in the raincoat couldn't do anything to me. But what should come still came. I received an anonymous call. The person said they had a lead, that someone had seen Lily giving a lecture in a certain city and they had the enrollment brochure. Having the enrollment brochure meant having contact information. I gave the person some money and asked them to send me the USB drive by express. The express delivery came quickly. When the doorbell rang, Liam wasn't at home. I carefully looked through the peephole. The courier outside didn't even wear a mask, showing a simple and honest face. "Just leave the package at the door." "Thank you," I said through the door. The courier showed me the box in his hand, gently put it down, and then turned to catch the elevator. I then checked the monitor, looking at both the upward and downward views. There was really no one outside. Only then did I eagerly open the door and pick up the express box. A fragrant smell hit my nose. I felt dizzy and then lost consciousness. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on the sofa. The person in front of me wasn't the man in the raincoat but Lily. "You finally showed up. Clear my name." I wanted to shout, but my voice was as thin as a mosquito's. I wanted to move, but my whole body was limp. "I heard you've been looking for me. Don't waste your efforts. I'm leaving soon. No one will recognize me in the future. I'll have a new identity. Since we were master and apprentice, I'll send you on your way." Lily walked over. She had a syringe in her hand. My heart tightened. She was going to inject me with insulin. I have hereditary type 1 diabetes and have had to inject insulin myself since I was a child. I never thought this would become a weakness she could use to attack me today. She twisted the syringe. Injecting dozens of units of this would probably send me into hypoglycemia soon. She was trying to kill me invisibly. If I died, she could change her appearance and happily defraud people again. "Actually, you didn't have to die. Why are you hounding me? What's in it for you? Being able to take the blame means you're still useful." Lily kept mumbling. She was allowed to do evil. but others were not allowed to seek revenge. I tried to struggle, but I had no strength at all. I could only watch helplessly as she brought the needle close to my thigh. A flash of yellow light. The man in the raincoat finally made his move. Lily rolled her eyes and fell to the ground. Just now, I secretly prayed in my heart that the man in the raincoat would show up. I never thought he really came. He picked up the syringe that Lily had thrown on the ground, looked at it, and walked towards me. "I'm sorry," I murmured, a teardrop slowly sliding down. This was from the bottom of my heart, to him and to Dana. No matter what he did now, I wouldn't blame him. Liam was right. I was the one who caused his family to be destroyed. He had suffered enough. He didn't inject me. Instead, he pointed the needle down and stabbed it into the sofa. Then he walked back to Lily, picked her up, and walked towards the balcony. I guessed what he was going to do, but I couldn't make a sound. I could only listen intently. The man in the raincoat opened the window. At this time, Lily woke up. She already knew what the man in the raincoat was going to do. She whimpered, kicked and struggled, and started to beg for mercy. "Spare me. I'll give you money. Don't throw me down." "Oh, I'm scared." "Unexpectedly. You gave me such a big surprise in the end. You're scared." The man in the raincoat spoke. "I have money. I have a lot of money." "Name your price," Lily said, her tone a bit calmer, thinking there was room for negotiation. This woman was so greedy for money. At this moment, she was still thinking about getting the best price. "Money can buy life." "Right. 2 lives in my family. My mother and my daughter." "How much do you think they're worth?" the man in the raincoat asked casually. "I'll offer 3 million. Lily tried to name a price. "Not enough." 5 million. "Not enough." 8 million. "I can't offer more. I don't have any more money." Lily was almost crying. Bang! I heard the sound of the window screen bouncing. The man in the raincoat really didn't talk much. 10 million. "I'll give you all my wealth." 10 million. "You'll never dream of having this much money in your life. Don't be stupid. This is your only chance," Lily pleaded, tears and snot streaming down her face. I wanted to see what was happening on the balcony. My body seemed to be regaining some strength. With a heave, I fell off the sofa, rolled twice, and could just see the balcony. The man in the raincoat was holding Lily by the window. Judging from the back, if you didn't know, you might think they were a couple. It seemed quite cozy. You know, why do people make money? You've harmed so many families and so many people. You earn money but can't spend it yourself. What's the point? The man in the raincoat's words hit Lily's sore spot. She started sobbing, looking quite wronged. "Stop crying. Enjoy your journey. The lives of my mother and my daughter are priceless. At first, they had a price, but you didn't give me a chance to negotiate. Now they're truly priceless, and can never be redeemed, only by paying with your life." The man in the raincoat pushed Lily out of the window. Lily was small and thin but quite agile. The moment she was pushed out of the window, she grabbed the window frame tightly with both hands. "Help! Save me!" she shouted desperately. The man in the raincoat didn't even look at her and turned to me. I knew it was time for reckoning. I admit my guilt. "I'm sorry." I finally managed to speak. I closed my eyes, waiting for the man in the raincoat's verdict. "Are you Clementine?" The man in the raincoat suddenly called out my online name. I nodded subconsciously. "Was it you who took care of their funerals?" "When I handled the funerals for Granny Duke and Dana, the man in the raincoat hadn't returned to the country. I left my online name at the funeral home." "Your merits and demerits cancel each other out. You can keep your life," the man in the raincoat said. I suddenly felt a huge sense of relief. I wasn't afraid of death. What I was afraid of was the endless cycle. Those repeated experiences were really worse than dying in eternal silence. The man in the raincoat ignored Lily's hysterical cries and swaggered out through the front door. I struggled to raise my head and looked at Lily's fingers, which had turned white from gripping the window frame. How much longer could she hold on? "I'm at home," he replied with 3 words. It was Liam who came back. Seeing me lying on the ground, Liam's steps staggered a bit. Only when he confirmed that I was safe did he heave a sigh of relief. I heard someone was going to jump off a building. I was scared to death. "Fortunately, it wasn't you." After saying that, he suddenly seemed to remember something and looked up towards the balcony. Lily had stopped making noise. She must have been holding her last bit of strength. We watched as her hand slipped from the window frame. A few seconds later, there was the sound of a heavy fall. This time, there was really a death. The case was re-examined, and unexpectedly, it cleared my name, because transferring the executive director wasn't just a matter of signing. Lily had forged some documents and made false accounts, which unexpectedly helped me. I found a new job and went out early and came back late. At least on the surface, my life had returned to normal. One day, a colleague suddenly put a pill in front of my mouth. "Nancy, this is the medicine my mom bought to maintain collagen. Come and see the effect." I jumped up as if bitten by a snake. I couldn't stand hearing such things anymore. Those days trapped in the cycle of life and death had become my nightmare. I didn't know how long it would take to wash away the shadows, and those small shops hidden in the community, with people staring at the old people's pockets, their eyes glowing green. When would they receive justice? The end?